I actually started my sort of path by having a website created that taught histology. So this was what I did in 1995. I created this learning resource without even knowing what e-learning was about. I'd never heard of e-learning. I created that website, and I'll demonstrate to you later on if you wish, all the functionalities of it, because when you look at this resource and you see these topics here, they could be anything. They could be anatomy, they could be physiology topics, they could be biochemistry topics, they could be pharmacology topics, they could be anything, because what I've done is actually started, particularly with anatomy and pathology, to increase the content of this resource. It is a resource that delivers visual learning for students. Now, the reason why I developed that was because in 1996, our university, two things happened in our school. First of all, we had an increase in student numbers. Our medical students went from 90 students to 150, and now it's up to 300. Our science students went from 60 to 7 students, it's now up to 500. Our dental students went from 30 to 80 students. We only had 40 microscopes. We only had about 40 collections of slide boxes to teach students histology. We didn't have staff that could divert a lot of their attention to renewing slide collections, to managing microscopes, etc., etc. The university didn't have the money to give us new microscopes, to increase the numbers. We didn't have the space to have 300 students in a lab anymore. So we had to triplicate labs. Sometimes we had 4 labs going a week, teaching medical students, science students, physiotherapy students, histology. Very expensive in terms of my time and in terms of the university in funding people to help. We have sessional staff that come in and help the students. An enormous cost. And that was a problem I had, because I was asked to think about ways of developing an alternative means of teaching histology. The biggest obstacle I had with that was, well, that's going to take me a lot of time. It's going to take me away from my wet laboratory research. It's going to take me away from access to research grants, etc., etc., because my publication rate might be affected. All the sort of things I mentioned earlier on that our university requires, a research output. And I said to my head of school, well, you know, why? This is going to take me ages to do. Now, I wasn't a professor then, I was a mid-range academic. With the attitude the university had then about teaching, if I got stuck into something like this and my research went downhill, I wasn't going to get promotion. I wasn't going to get a higher salary because of that. So that was a big obstacle to me to start with. And I was, you know, not resentful of it, but I was very, very reluctant to do something. But then it changed for me. And it changed now that I have a passion for it, for doing it. And that passion I want to try and impress upon you today. And as I said, I'll demonstrate this later on. I'm still developing that resource. It took me 5 years to do it. Another obstacle is the time it takes to do these things. Who's going to devote 5 years, full-time years of their academic life to develop a histology resource now? No one would do it. And I wouldn't want them to do it either. They could utilise a resource like this. So that's how I got into it.